Greeting and welcome to the Intensive Success Growth. I am your host, Nishant Sharma. Please give warm welcome to Stephan. Stephan is a keynote speaker, magician, author, and podcast host. Welcome, Stephan.
Thank you, Nishant. It's great to be here.
Okay, let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Well, I started out really on the magic side. I started learning some of the magic stuff. I was probably in my mid to late 20s, and I ended up getting a really good mentor. And he really helped me along from the magic standpoint. And I got to the point where I was doing magic a couple of nights a week in a restaurant and making more money than what my full-time job was paying me. So I applied and was accepted to the Chavez College of Magic, and I attended that course, graduated. I worked at the Magic Castle in Hollywood for a while, and it was really just being around those magicians and going through that magic school really got me started being in front of an audience and doing those types of things. And while I was doing a magic show, I ended up in a group called Toastmasters, which you're probably aware of. And I've been doing that now for 19 years. And those people have been very supportive as I've started down, the speaking path and doing those types of things. So it's a lot of different people have been supportive with the things I've been doing. Been married 40 years. My wife has been very supportive. My family has been very supportive. So that really helps.
Okay. What are the top three reasons why do people fail?
Well, the top three reasons why people fail, I think number one, they don't really know what their ultimate goal is. I talk to a lot of people and I ask them, what are you passionate about? And I get a blank stare. I'll ask them, who are you? And they'll say things, well, I'm a computer programmer or I'm a lawyer. No, that's what you do, but who are you? I developed a program called Find Your Ps, which is passion, purpose, potential, and personal mission. And it's about a month-long program. And it's fun watching the people go through this exercise of self-discovery to discover who they are. So I think that's really key, knowing who we are and what we're about and what our passion is, what we're really truly passionate about is one. If we don't know those things, we'll do a lot of different things and maybe be halfway good at some of those. Number two, I don't think they do the work. People that are successful do the work. And too frequently, I've seen people say, well, here's my big dream, but they're not doing anything about it. They're watching TV or they're playing video games and they're waiting for their ship to come in, so to speak. And they haven't sent their ship out. They need to do the work. You look at the super successes out there, they do the work. You look at from our country, Tiger Woods, such an exceptional golfer. Well, he wasn't born with all those skills. He practiced more than anybody else did. And so you look at those and you look at the work that they put in. So doing the work, I think, is part of it too. And then number three, understanding, or I should say not understanding, that failure doesn't exist if you learn something. So if something doesn't work the way you did it, yeah, you can say, okay, that's a failure, I quit. Or you can say, okay, what can I learn from this and how can I move forward? So I think those three things are huge. Knowing what it is you're passionate about, what it is you want to do, what kind of message you want to share with the world, doing the work and understanding that, yeah, you're going to make mistakes. It's not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean you failed if you learn something and pick yourself up and move forward with it.
Okay. What are your top three success secrets that other can model from you?
Success secrets. I don't know that they're secret. So for me, I think it's a lot of what we just talked about. I know what my passions are and I know who I am. And then I set goals. I also do a goal setting workshop that really gets into the really most important part of the goal setting is the why. We get too focused on the how. But if we focus on why we want to accomplish this goal, and if we come up with enough compelling whys, we'll accomplish the goal. We'll figure out a way. So I think that having strong goals, and then again, doing the work. Every day I look at my goals and I ask the question, what's the most important thing I need to do today to accomplish this goal? And by asking that question over and over and over again, you'll eventually get to succeeding in your goal. And sometimes you need to step back and break your goals down into smaller steps, smaller goals, so to speak. But for me, it's constantly doing something every day that passionate about. Okay, one in my mission statement, one of the lines in my mission statement is add value every day. And that's important to me. And that's what I'm passionate about, is adding value every day. And there's lots of opportunities to add value, whether it's speaking or magic or doing work around the property here or whatever it is. I can add value every day. And that to me is something that I think is important.
Okay. What motivates you within?
What motivates me within is really my passion, the things that I'm passionate about. First and foremost, is, like I said, is adding value every day, being a light, not a judge, being creative, and living with that energy and passion. So I get up every day. I wake up at 4 a.m. I don't need an alarm clock. Okay. But I wake up excited about, what can I do today? What can I do to add value? What can I do that, to do something different? What kind of book do I maybe need to be working on? What's my next podcast episode going to be about? So there's always something that keeps me excited, and it does come from within. We can watch, motivational speakers, we can read the books, but it really truly is up to us to motivate ourselves and move forward with those things.
Okay.
And I
What's
think
your
that understanding is huge, realizing it's up to me. Those people that I read their books or I watch their seminars, they're not going to do it for me. It truly is up to me.
okay? So what's your company motto?
My company is Awesome Attitude LLC, and the motto is changing lives one attitude at a time.
Okay.
So it's one of my passions, is having that positive attitude and helping other people realize that, hey, attitude is a choice and it's something that you can control completely. It doesn't have to be, because the weather's nice or because it's Friday or, when someone does this or someone stops doing that. It's totally up to you what your attitude is going to be. And it's fun. And it's truly, I could be speaking to 100 people and maybe 2 people will get the message, so it really is truly one attitude at a time.
Okay. Who is your ideal client?
My ideal client is somebody that is willing to do the work. Okay, and when I do like the Find Your Peak, I have a little interview with them first, because it's a month-long commitment and it's homework every day. And I want to make sure somebody that if they're going to spend the money, they're going to spend the time for themselves to do the work so they can discover who they are and what their passions are and things. So for me, the ideal client is somebody that comes to me and says, I really need to make some changes in my life. And I make sure that, okay, you need to make different decisions and you need to do this and you need that. Are you willing to make that sacrifice and do those things? When they say, yes, I need to do this, then that's my ideal client.
Okay. How do you find your ideal client?
A lot of it is word of mouth. I work with people all the time and then I get recommendations a lot. People come in through LinkedIn. I, of course, get a lot of leads through Toastmasters because I speak at a lot of different events within Toastmasters and different clubs. So they come from a variety of places.
Okay. How do you engage your ideal client?
How do I engage?
Your ideal client.
I didn't catch the last part, sorry.
Like, how do you deliver 5-star client experience?
Oh, well, life experiences, stories. The whole essence of speaking is tell a story, make a point. And we all have stories. And people love to hear our stories. So if we have a point we want to make, we tell a story to make that point because they remember the stories. And when they remember the stories, they remember the point. So stories is huge. And we all have them. And guess what? The world not only needs to hear our stories, but they want to hear our stories as well. And that's the fun part.
Okay. So how do you handle rejections?
Rejection, guess what? Some people are going to say yes, some people are going to say no. I'm okay with that. So I don't look as rejection as a bad thing. And I like to say no is never permanent, because I've certainly had some people that have rejected me in the past and come back later and said, maybe I do need this. So if you look at it that way, there shouldn't be any hard feelings. So if somebody says no and they reject you, that's okay. You may end up in a relationship with that person later. So don't make it a negative thing. Make it positive. And the way you do that is you think to yourself, okay, no, it's never permanent. So that's fine.
Okay. How do you handle angry client?
Well, I've never had one. So I'm not sure how to handle that. But again, Stephan The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, we talk about one of the habits is seeking first to understand, then to be understood, and we do that through empathic listening. So an empathic listening involves not only hearing the words, but understanding the feelings behind those words as well. So if I get an angry client, I will certainly go down that road. Okay, tell me why you're angry. And I will hear the words, but I'll try to get into those feelings as well. When you understand the feelings, then you can start to look for remedies.
Okay. How do you start your day?
I'm up early,
How do
4
you
a.m.
4 a.m.
So how do I start my day? Yeah, I'm up early, 4 a.m. The first thing I do is some exercises. I do, and you may be familiar with this, I do exercises called the 5 Tibetans. And then I do some Tai Chi. And then from there, I can read. Sometimes I'll read books. Sometimes I'll read articles. Sometimes I might go out and watch a video of some kind. I might listen to a podcast. There are TED Talks. I make sure to get something positive in every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. That's huge. Just getting the day started with a positive message, whether I read it or hear it or watch it or whatever it is, that's huge for me.
Okay. What are you grateful for today?
I just released my podcast this morning, and I did not have a guest, so I did a podcast on gratitude. And I talk about the 3 most important questions of gratitude. The first one is, what are you grateful for? And when we take a step back and ask those questions, we can get in a pretty positive mood pretty quick. But I take the 2 other important questions are, who are you grateful for? And then the third important question is, do they know? And I think that's okay. You may be grateful for someone in your life, a mentor, or a teacher, a parent, a spouse, whatever it may be, but do they know that you're grateful for them? And I think that's important too. So what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for a lot of things. I have a lot of blessings in my life, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to do things like this, where I can share my ideas, my passion with other people. I'm grateful for those opportunities. I'm grateful for, like I said, I've been married for 40 years, going on 41 now. I'm grateful for a very supportive wife. I've got great parents. I've got a great family. I've got a lot of great friends, a lot of great people that I know in Toastmasters all over the world. And you notice all the ones I'm mentioning are relationship related. We can be grateful for things like my super fast computer and my really nice mouse and my nice car and those things, but possessions come and go. And when we think about the things we're truly grateful for, there's a relationship involved there somewhere. So it's the relationships that I'm really grateful for.
Okay. So, how young are you?
I am 63 years young.
Okay. You are not 63-year young. You are 18-year young with 45-year experience.
Okay, I like the way you do that.
Thank you.
So
who is your living mentor?
I have several. Within Toastmasters, and I mentor a lot of people in Toastmasters. I consider a lot of people my mentor that I don't meet with in person. So when I'm watching, a TED Talk, that person is mentoring it. I'm sitting here with you right now, and I consider you to be a mentor for me because I'm going to learn from this experience, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. Of course, family members are mentors. I have a couple of mentors for the professional speaking side. I have a couple of people that I talk to about the magic side. I've got a couple of people I talk to about the podcast side, people that are successful at podcasts. So if I'm looking to look at a new endeavor or something, like when I get into podcasting, I immediately get with a couple of people I know that do podcasts, and I talk to them, and I learned a lot from them. And I've done the same thing for other people. So I have several mentors that I have in pretty much every area that I'm doing professionally. And then, of course, at church, I have mentors at church. So for the spiritual side, so you can have mentors for every aspect of your life. You got your spiritual, you got your mental, you got, and we do this a lot from the exercise standpoint, the physical part of our body, then there's a social, emotional. So you can have mentors in all of those areas. And I highly encourage people to have more than one mentor.
Okay. So what's your favorite book and what is your top 3 learning?
Boy, I'm going to go back to Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I facilitated that course for quite a few years, and I had the opportunity to meet Stephen Covey when his Eighth Habit came out. I went and saw, he did a group discussion on the Eighth Habit up in Minneapolis. There's about 250 of us there. And they brought in box lunches for us. After lunch, I was throwing my stuff away. I was out in the lobby, and he came walking up, and I reached out, and shook his hand, and I said, "Thank you." He says, "For what?" I said, "Your 7 habits truly did change my life years ago." I thought that would be the end of the discussion, but it wasn't. He kind of put his arm around my shoulder. He says, he took me off to the side. He says, "Tell me your story." So I told him where I was and what I had done, the changes I'd made, and what I was doing. And he said, "Which habit do you think is most important?" And I looked at him. I said, "I think habit 1 is be proactive." I says, "If you master that, the successes you'll have with the other habits will be huge." I says, "If you don't master that one, you may have some successes in the other habits, but they won't be anywhere near as profound." And he smiled and he says, "You get it." And then he put his arm around me and he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Stephan." He said, "Oh, that's a great name." And we kind of chuckled, but he took the time to make me the most important person in his life for about 10 minutes, and it was a great lesson for me. So the lessons I learned out of the book, be proactive. That first habit has been huge. And that's what I've really, my foundation of the things I speak on, attitude, goal setting, finding your passion really come out of that habit. So that habit is huge. Having a mission statement, which is habit 2, begin with the end in mind. That's all about having a personal mission statement. So those things are important to me. Habit 3 is about putting first things first. He doesn't call it time management. He calls it relationship management, because every role that we have, if we're a boss, if we're an employee, if we're whatever, we're a spouse, we're a homeowner, we're an individual, those are all relationships. And we learn how to manage our relationships rather than our time. And I really like that concept. So there's a lot of great lessons that come out of that book. And another one of my favorites is what he calls the emotional bank account. And when we make deposits in another person's emotional bank account, that's huge. And sometimes we make a mistake and we take a withdrawal out of that personal bank account. But hopefully we made enough deposits to cover that withdrawal so that we're not in too much trouble. But so it's a great book. It came out in 1989, and I still read it every year. That's a book I read over and over every year. And every year that I read it, I get something new out of it. So I highly recommend that one.
So what do you want to remember for?
Boy, that's really a tough question, because it's I guess I just want to be remembered as someone who put others first, had a service nature, was willing to serve others, and had that loving idea behind them all the time. And that's really what I'm about.
Okay. So how can we support you?
Well, have a positive attitude every day. So support wise, hey, if you want to chat, if anybody of your listeners want to chat with me, reach out. My website is awesomeattitude.net, and all my contact information is there, information on my podcast, information on my book. If you want to talk about any of these subjects, goal setting, attitude, passion, all of those things, reach out. I would love to help as many people as I can. If you know of any opportunities where I come in and speak to a group of people about this stuff, I'd be more than willing to do that as well. So keep that in mind.
Okay. So what would you like to say about your guest experience on this show?
These are so much fun. And I like this idea of just send me some questions quick and let me just expand on those. Sometimes on these interviews, they send you information. We're going to talk about this, and this is what I want you to cover. So it's kind of, the framework is given to me, and you did send me a list of questions, but you didn't really tell me, here's what we're going to talk about and why we're going to talk about this. So I like this format where it was just ask me a question and let me expand on that. So I appreciate that. And this has been fun. I enjoy doing these things. And when you gave me the opportunities, I definitely want to do that for you. So.
Okay. So what's your final word?
Well, I want to ask, how can I support you? I want to turn that around. How can I be of service to you and the things that you're involved in?
Okay. No issue. I'll tell you later. There's no issue.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Anyway, final words. Life is short, and we have this great opportunity to choose the attitude that we're going to have every day. And it affects us but more importantly, it affects those people around us, those people that are so dear to us, our family, our friends, our coworkers, and the way we act every day and in every single situation has an effect on them. And every one of us has a responsibility for that. We are responsible for our own attitude, our own actions. Each of you is an incredible human being, and you make a difference every single day. So go forth and do great things with a great attitude.
Okay. Thanks, Stephan, for sharing your wisdom with us. On the behalf of our team and community, we really appreciate you. Until the next time, all good wishes to you.
All right, sounds good. And thank you for having me on.